FM News Talk 97.1.
On-demand audio.
Of course, it's a new year, new elections, all of that jazz, and we have the first session of the 97th General Assembly. Legislators have been sworn in, and joining us on the line is Missouri House Speaker Tim Jones. And, of course, everyone is very interested in what his legislative priorities are going to be this year. Good afternoon, Speaker Jones.
Good afternoon, Dana. It's great to be with you and your audience again.
Well, it's good to talk with you. So what is on deck? What are you looking at in terms of what you would like to see happen legislatively going into this new session? What are you prioritizing?
Absolutely. We had our opening day addresses yesterday, both myself and the Senate leader, Tom Dempsey, who's from the St. Charles region. So I think it's good that we've got, for our region, two good leaders from our neck of the woods over here. And Tom's been in the legislature for almost 10 years. He served in the House as majority leader. And I'm going to work on what I call the Triple E agenda. It's economic development for job creation and energy policy. We have to have a strong energy policy. Our energy needs, as you know, increase greatly every day. And something I know you talk about a lot. Missouri has been not only a state that's pushed back on health care, overregulation, Obamacare, and taxation, we've also stood up against the EPA. As well, that they're a constant enemy of energy independence. And finally, education. I want to do education reform. We have a failing school district. You're broadcasting from the middle of St. Louis City, which has a failing school district. It's been that way for my entire life. And I think it's time for innovation, technology, take on the teachers' unions and the merit pay system and make some bold changes this year.
Yes. Well, that's something that we're definitely excited to see because this is an interesting legislative session as well because here we have veto-proof majorities. And I'm wondering if you think going into this new session, whether or not are you expecting Governor Jay Nixon to govern any differently because of the chamber makeup, or what do you expect from the governor?
Oh, a lot differently, Dana. And he's already shown some of his cards. He is worried about the people's voice increasing in the House. Mm-hmm. And we still have that supermajority in the Senate because I don't know if you've caught this or not. He did it pretty much in the dead of night between the Christmas and New Year holiday. We have 110 members that won their election on the Republican side of the ticket. 109 is the magic number for veto proof. So we had 109 plus 1. We had 110. Over that break, he did something that President Obama likes to do with appointments and things, recess appointments. He offered a job to one of my most conservative members in the House, and unfortunately, that member took that job without consulting with me, and we're now down to 109 right as we start session. The governor has not called the special election yet. This would have been a gentleman who would have voted, I think, pretty much conservatively across the board from southwest Missouri. So the governor's got a lot more little plums he can offer. He purposefully kept a lot of his boards and commissions open over the last 4 years because he saw the House numbers going up. So I would ask your audience to call all of their Republican state reps and senators and say, you were just elected and sent to Jeff City in historic numbers to do your job for us, not for the governor. So please, stay there for the 2 years you were elected for.
Yes, absolutely. Well, and that's it. They essentially made an agreement with the public. They ran, they were voted, and it's kind of sad to see something like that happen, of course. But what do you expect? I mean, you're prepared for stuff like this because it fits their playbook.
Yep. So I had a little talk with the caucus on Monday morning. People know that I'm a pretty straight shooter, and I give them a little tough love. And I said, look, the next person that gets called, would you please call me first? That way, if you really needed to do it for your family, I understand that, but I could talk to the governor and say, Governor, that's fine if you think this person's that valuable, but tell me you're going to set that special election date because you shouldn't be using your power to dilute the power of the people's house. I just think that's just wrong and shameful. And however, with our numbers, I think the governor will be more willing to come to the table because he doesn't know on what issues I'm going to be able to override him and what I'm not. He would be playing a little bit of poker there, and I would rather him deal with me on the front end and presume that we can pass anything we need to and negotiate with me rather than simply letting us pass bills that he's going to veto down the line. So I'm looking for a little more transparency from the governor's office.
How are you all going to play along with Democrats when the subject of Medicaid comes up? Because I know that's, Democrats here in the state of Missouri, they've been wanting to expand this Medicaid program, and you all have come out pretty hard against that. Is there, and I know you also have some proposals to counter that as well. What are you expecting in terms of that issue and going back and forth coming into this year?
That is going to be a hot button, and we know that our friends, not you, but our other friends in the mainstream media, the ones on the other side of the political spectrum, they're going to be beating the drum very loudly, ginning up the troops on the left. And, the last time we did Medicaid reform in the state was when Governor Blunt did it back in 2006. He took a rash of hurt for that. People were chaining themselves to the door saying, "You're taking away my free health care," on and on and on. There's no complaining about that now because everybody knows that Governor Blunt ended up saving us $2 billion in our state budget. We'd be really upside down right now if he hadn't done that. So that's part of the fight we're going to have. And we're going to talk about, all right, the Democrats want to just flat out expand an entitlement. They, as usual, they haven't explained how to do it. Governor Nixon governed as a conservative for his first term. And in his second term, right off the bat, 3 weeks after the election, he said, let's expand Medicaid. He didn't say the word Medicaid the last 4.5 years, and I think you and I both know we've heard the rumors of him looking not any longer at the Missouri electorate, but at the Iowa electorate,
yes,
looking at his national ambitions. So I think there's ways, and we're going to have to be clever and crafty and maybe work with the governor and see if we can call him out on this. But, let us get some of those Medicaid drawdown dollars without expanding the population. Expanding that population, putting more people on the Medicaid rolls, horrible. But do I want to have more? Do I want to have more of those funds for the elderly and the disabled and kids without parents who the ones who need government assistance? Let's help those people out instead of people who just want to sit at home, watch TV, and collect an entitlement check, which is what Jay Nixon wants to do. He wants to borrow from the Obama playbook and offer free stuff.
Right. One of the other issues, and you and I talked about this the last time you were on the program, was right to work. And I think you and I were talking about this right when some of the Michigan stuff was really heating up. And you had said that I know you're concerned about bringing up right to work, even though we have a veto-proof majority. You're concerned about bringing up right to work because I know you're worried about risking that veto-proof majority. And you've talked about other ways that you can, for the lack of a better phrase, skin the cat. You were talking about the Paycheck Protection Law. Some people have suggested, well, why not just bring up a right to work bill and put it before Nixon and have him veto that and just keep tacking that on his record as, well, he would own that. What do you think of that ploy? Do you think it's not necessarily successful? Is it successful, or is it it's just not something that you could probably get everyone to get around in the House?
Dana, I've thought about it a lot since you and I talked. You gave me a lot of good things to think about. And other people have as well, and a lot of my caucus who are really in favor of that. And I support right to work. I have for a long time. You'll be very happy to know that I think we have 2 or 3 right to work proposals filed in the House, and I have co-sponsored those proposals. So I've co-sponsored, so people know where I am. What I'm willing to do, I don't think you should negotiate against yourself. In my attorney life, that's what I've been taught for decades. So I think we need to have that debate. I mean, Michigan, of all states, the center of union organization and big union labor thuggery in our nation, they did it. And I think we have to be honest with the Missouri people and have the debate. So I think we're going to move the debate forward in the House. And I'm going to advance it step by step, and I'm going to watch my colleagues in the Senate. I hope they'll do the same. If there's been a lot of talk about doing it in the Senate, but they haven't been able to move a bill anywhere over the last couple of years. So like we talked about, I don't want to necessarily put my members under the knife if it's just for the fun of it.
Right.
But I'm going to use the pressure of having the debate to move it forward, because I think we need to discuss worker freedom. And I think it's important for people to realize this has nothing to do with employee and employer relationships. It has everything to do with whether an employee, whether a worker, whether a normal Joe or Jane should be forced to join a union and pay dues or not. Or should they have the right to work at XYZ Corporation and not join the union?
Right.
That's all it is. if you look at right-to-work bills, they're about a sentence long. It's about freedom and liberty. So I think we have the discussion. We move paycheck protection forward. We move prevailing wage reform forward. These are all issues that have gone nowhere. I'm going to advance the agenda.
Well, we look forward to that, and we're excited to see what the Missouri State Legislature comes up with this year, and to fight back. And we can't wait to see that the boon that our state economy, is going to get from it as well. I mean, my goodness, you and I could do a whole week's worth of shows talking about this.
We could. And Dana, one last thing, something to point out. I've got 36 new Republicans that are joining us in the House this year. 36. It's over about a third of our caucus. And I think I know where those people are on most issues, but I don't know for sure. So if you're listeners, make sure you know who your new state rep is and your new state senator, and tell them what are issues important to you so we can get a quick read on where people are. Start asking them, do you support right to work? Do you support labor reform? Do you support education reform? Where are you? I'm going to be doing the same thing on my end.
Well, we definitely will. Missouri House Speaker Tim Jones. Speaker Jones, it's a pleasure to have you on. We look forward to talking with you again soon.
Thank you, Dana, very much. Talk to you soon.
Take care.